Welcome back, family, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast slash YouTube slash We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. And this right here is a very special episode, a very, very special episode, not only because we are doing the best team in the NBA of all time, history, current, when your mama lived, when your daddy lived, when you live, it don't matter, man. This is the best team of all time. That's why this episode is special. But this episode's special for a whole nother reason, man. We got my boy Steph, we got my boy TB, we got Trill Buckets, we got
What's
Trill.
good, man? What's good?
The name's going forever. My dog, how you doing?
Man, I'm chilling, bro. It sucks to say because as Lakers fans, we're used to championships, we're used to winning, we're used to being that team at the top. But considering where the year started, it's hard not to say it was, I don't want to say successful, but for lack of better terms, it was a surprise. It was a year that we can at least be happy about going into the offseason. And I've said it all year. Decisions are to be made this offseason, and that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. We're going to talk about some of those decisions, man. And for the family out there, before we get into it, make sure you go show my boy Trill some love. Everything will be linked in the description down below. Social medias, YouTube, go show him some love. Another great YouTube content creator. But let's stop wasting time. Let's get straight into it. T. Look, man, you said it best. The way that year started didn't look great, but then they were able to turn around, made it to the Western Conference Finals. They finished with the record of 43-39 as the seventh seed. Like we mentioned, did beat the Timberwolves in the play-in, beat the Grizzlies in six, beat the Warriors in six, and then got swept by the Denver Nuggets. So, Trill, my first question I got for you, brother, is as a Lakers fan, how do you feel on the year? Like, are you happy? You
So
sad?
it's one of those things where it's in stages because we started the year 2-10, coming off of the first disappointing year with Russ on the team. We come back into the year again, which I feel like most Lakers fans, we try to be as optimistic as possible. We try to keep our hopes as high as they possibly could be, but we kind of knew in the back of our head the Russell Westbrook project isn't going to work. So in the beginning, it was more like we're just trying to stay afloat. We're trying to figure out where we stand. And really and truly, what I remember from the Lakers from the beginning of part of the year is trying to figure out who we're going to go get in the trade deadline. There was a lot of teams where they're playing hardball majority of the year, and it's the Lakers. Who wants to deal with the Lakers? Nobody ever wants to trade with the Lakers. No team, not even a team at the bottom of the barrel. They're just not doing it. So it was one of those things that it was difficult for Palinka, difficult for Lakers as a fan base because we see bad basketball night in and night out. We fast forward to, we'll say, about December, January time. I believe LeBron was hurt during that time for some portions of the season. um Anthony Davis exploded. He was going crazy. He gave us hope. He had a crazy tear for about 15 game stretch or something like that. And it was just one of those things where, okay, now we feel like if we get some pieces, we're good going forward. We got those pieces. So we finished the season, 11 games left. We were the 11th seed. We figured it out, got into the playoffs. And at that point, I felt like our ceiling was the Western Conference Finals. I never thought we would beat Denver. However, I was optimistic and I was sure that it could happen. If anybody, it would be us. So it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. It was unfortunate, and that's a great answer because the way I'd answer that is, look, I'll say as a Lakers fan, I'm happy. I guess I would say I'm content with the way the year went, but I'm very disappointed the way we went out. I think getting swept in the Western Conference Finals is like crazy to me. Like we could not even get one game. Like the Miami Heat got one game on the Denver Nuggets, and there was a lot of issues. There was a lot of things that the Lakers did to honestly play themselves out of the game in that Western Conference Finals. But I mean, the reason why I say I have to be a bit content with the season is because you said it. We started 2-10, didn't have the right fit. Darvin Ham's first year as a head coach, which I'll get your opinion on him a little later on the show, but I'm not too high on him. But it's Darvin Ham's first year as head coach, all these things, and then like you said, we were still able to turn around after that trade deadline, had the best record in the league, and honestly, I think if we would have had that team the entire year, I don't doubt we would have been the second seed. I'll be honest with you. I don't doubt we would have been the second seed. I know you have to play in Anthony Davis, his injury, and LeBron James, his age, and how's that going to work out. But as far as like team wise, what I was saying coming into the playoffs, and I'll be honest, man, I was saying that I got the Lakers out the West, and here's my reasoning, because the Denver Nuggets, we knew they were good, we knew they were legit, but me, yeah, I'm not gonna believe it until you show me. And they had, and that up to this year, they hadn't showed me, right? Like, okay,
That's true.
You can blame MPJ, blame Jamal Murray for not being there, blame all this and that, when Jokic won his MVP and whatnot. But I hadn't seen them, do this, really show that they are this dominant team. And I looked at it like, look, your best player is Jokic, our best player is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is the true defensive player of the year when he wants
In
to,
my
right?
opinion, I yeah.
The
Hey,
year
it's crazy because I had him as my choice for DPOY this year, but hey, things happen. I think it's just more so if he didn't miss as many games as he missed. But to respond to what you said with regard to Denver, the only reason I didn't feel like we would pass them is because this was a team that, for the most part, when they didn't do it, it wasn't necessarily because they just weren't good enough. For the better part of the last couple of years, they just didn't have certain guys. The last time I think I could comfortably say Denver wasn't really good enough or ready for that spotlight, that moment or whatever, was back when we beat them in the bubble. I think they were still pretty young then. They didn't have, the rotational pieces like they have now with KCP, Christian Brown, Bruce Brown. They didn't have some of those guys too, but even after that, like you said, MPJ gets hurt, Jamal Murray gets hurt, Jokic is by himself last year. Like, so I think it just was a lot of things where it was the uncontrollables that was causing them not to win. Whereas this year, it just seemed like everything was popping off and it was perfect for them. So, and I'm not gonna lie, they were one of my teams to watch going into the year. So I watched a lot of them. So that's the only team in the West where I was like, once we got to February, March time, that was the absolute only team where I was like, it's going to be a dogfight trying to get past them, strictly because their team that's been together for so long, they have a full training camp together. And not for nothing, this team that is technically the best NBA post trade deadline, they've only been that for 3-4 months. So it was going to be hard pressed. And I think that's part of the reason there's a lot of people saying, let's run it back instead of, making a deal to go get Kyrie or making a deal to go get someone like Trae Young, as we've heard, or some other moves that they've been talking about. There are some people that want to run it back, and obviously I think we need to add some pieces. I think we need to strengthen in some areas, and I think we need to drop a couple of people as well before that happens. So
yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you, T. And I mean, I think that's a great transition to let's talk about the offseason, right? When we had a season, we were able to turn it around. Unfortunately, went out with a sweep, disappointing, but put it behind us. Let's move forward and let's look to the future and what we got next. That's this upcoming offseason. So true, we got a lot of decisions to make as a Lakers fan. Like how you said, we can rebuild, run it back. We can try to go get a big time name like how LA often does. But right now, what I want to know is if Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, and the NBA community came through that door right now, Trill, and said, Trill, tell us what we gonna do. What's our number one priority coming into this offseason?
number one priority. Well, I think I would say 1A, 1B. I can't put one over the other. Sign Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves. Those are the top priorities on the list, barring anything else. We saw what happened in 2020 when we let guys walk. You see, KCP is doing his thing, pretty much the same thing he did for us. He's doing it for Denver now. Maybe it might be on a little bit of higher level. We see Caruso, he's doing his thing, but he's rotting in Chicago. We see Kuzma, I got a video on him coming out soon. I think he's about to be a son in a couple
He
of
is.
days. But with that being said, we could still have him now.
Malik
Granted,
Monk
he was
too.
you. Malik Monk, I completely forgot about him. Like, these are guys that we moved off of that we really didn't need to. So I think more than anything else for this offseason, the best thing to think about and keep in mind is learn from your mistakes. Learn from what you had in 2020, because in 2020, instead of building from that and retooling from that, we almost rebuilt like the team was washed, the team was done. And that wasn't the case because, like, I'd argue instead of JaVale McGee being the second, third bench guy on some of these people's benches, he could be a very valuable backup big to Anthony Davis. He can take the brunt off of Anthony Davis that doesn't force him to be such a hard-nosed defender, which we know he's an injury-prone guy, so that doesn't bode well for him in terms of his history. Like there's little pieces out there. Dwight Howard, I think he's still serviceable on the defensive end. I don't know if many people remember, and this is 3 years ago now, so I know how this basketball thing goes. I know how Father Time goes, but if y'all remember when AD was off the court and it was a JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard backcourt, our defense was ridiculous. They weren't doing anything on the perimeter because we had great guard play at the top with Caruso and KCP. And then if they funneled them on the drive, you had Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee protecting the rim. And 90% of the time, this was when LeBron and AD were not in the game. That's what we're missing right now, because right now we're relying on those two guys so much. And now LeBron, he's going to probably get foot surgery this offseason just to tighten some things up with that foot. We got AD. I'm at the point with AD where I'm good. I'm good. I'm sorry.
We're gonna talk about
And
that.
I understand how well he played. I like to trust my stars, but that's probably not going to happen. So being realistic, with that being said, after you sign Rui and after you sign Austin Reeves, figure out what the hell you're going to do with D'Angelo Russell. Get him out of here, in my opinion. But if you're not going to get him out of there, I need you to bring in a quality point guard that is starting over him. I don't need him starting, and I don't want Dennis Schroeder back. I unfortunately feel like it in my bones, and I would like this player if it was for a lot less money, but I feel like we're going to sign Father Fred. Fred VanVleet is probably coming to the Lakers, and there's rumors that he's going to sign anywhere up to 30 million. And that, if we do that, if I can only justify signing him to 20 million. I can't even go higher than that. So those are the first things that you need to tweak and figure out, while also figuring out how are we going to get 3-and-D players, not just shooting, not just defense. We need them both. I love Jared Vanderbilt, but we do need a guy that doesn't make him be a corner bandit. That's what we saw in the playoffs. That's not his game. And he can shoot the ball okay. I'm not going to say well, I'm not going to say above average, but he knocked it down here and there. But with that being said, we need a true 3-and-D guy that can truly hit that shot, to where Vando can now go back to the cutter spot, which we saw him do very, very well when he first got traded to the team. And last but not least, I think you move off of Malik Beasley, move off of Mo Bamba, and from there go into this free agency and try to bolster your roster. I think there's a couple of guys in the free agency pool that you could sign a prove a deal on. You could sign to a deal that they're basically fighting for their next contract, if that makes sense. And I think there are also some guys that you could sign that are very under the radar, like bring back Josh Hart. Why not try to do that? Instead of a guy like Father Fred. I mentioned Kelly Oubre when we were talking about another team on our Three of Keys episode. You could bring in a guy like that. Kelly Oubre, that's a perfect kind of guy for LA culture, if we're being honest. And this is gonna sound crazy. Dylan Brooks. Hey,
I don't know about that one, brother.
Listen, bro. If you can get I don't know, because I feel like the lights will be way too bright in LA for Dylan Brooks. So now that I'm saying that, I'm kind of backtracking a little bit. But you know what? Forget Dylan Brooks. We'll go get Seth Curry.
Okay.
But my point is, there are plenty of those kind of guys in the free agency pool that we could truly bolster our roster with and not have to pay them that much money. And I think that should be the priority going into this. Of course, look into getting one of these stars that are pretty much rotting where they are. Try to get Dame. Try to figure out a package for Dame. And if say you do get a package for Dame, now we got Dame, Bron, AD, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, those and Vando. I'm fine with those dudes being that main six core. Now you could bolster the roster with some of those free agents I named, and now you have a team that when you come into the year, we're looking at the West like we only looking at Denver, and that's the only team we want to play. And especially me, because I'm tired of the Denver shit talk. Boy, you would almost think they've been dominating us forever, but you know,
Man, we can't stand those team fans who they just win like once or twice. We used to this. We used to this. So one
hmm
championship not really gonna move us, not really gonna impress us. But one thing I want to say some things for some things that you were talking about, right? First thing is I just love talking about the Lakers because it's like you can throw Dame, you can throw you can throw Dame, you can throw DeMar, you can throw players who aren't even free agents. Like you can just throw them
hmm
there and say like it's a possibility for the Lakers.
because
Like
we're that franchise that we do that.
we could just
We,
fuck around and land the player that you didn't even think we were going to land. Now all of a
yep.
sudden we got him. So that's one thing I
hmm
love about the Lakers. So I just definitely wanted to mention that. But as far as right, so I'm in agreement with you as far as number one priority, 100%, 1A, 1B. Bring back Austin Reeves, Rui. I mean, Rui was second in the NBA for points off the bench. He was able to play multiple roles for us. There are some series where he can step up because he's got the mismatch. There's some series where he's okay with taking a step down because it's not his series. Love to have a player like that. So definitely got to
hmm
bring Rui back. And then Reeves, you talked about it, right? I think he's a huge part of the solution of this problem that we're about to have with the one point guards, 1 to 2 guards. But I don't think he's enough, right? You got to for sure bring him back,
Yep.
but he's not enough. And then that kind of leads me to my next question, which we have the route of we can bring back Dennis and Lonnie and AR and all the other guards and
I
have
forgot about Lonnie. I forgot about Lonnie.
so we can have we can have like a deep like point guard slash two position. We can be deep there. Or what we can do is like you mentioned, we can go out and go get a big time name like Fred, like Kyrie, like you brought up some great points. Like maybe Seth Curry would I think would be great. We talked about Josh Hart yesterday. Another player I think would be good, not so much on the defensive end, but would help our shooting. Gary Trent Jr. He's another free agent. So some players who we can get there. So now I want to turn it to you again, T, and I want to ask you, would you rather go the direction of all right, let's have a lot of good solid role players at the 1 and 2, or let's go and let's let a lot of these guys walk and then bring in a big time name like a Fred, like a Kyrie, maybe not Kyrie, but like those other guys.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, I'd rather bring in a big time name, or if it's not a big time name and you do get more of a role playing kind of guard, I want one that's more consistent on the scoring end because that's a big thing when you get to the playoffs is the guard play. We've seen what Jamal Murray did. We saw what De'Aaron Fox was doing. We saw what various guards were doing to push their team forward. With the Lakers, most specifically, we saw what Austin Reeves played his way into a contract this year strictly because of his guard play against the top guards that they faced in the playoffs. So, with that being said, I feel like we've technically had role players at guards. Now, Austin Reeves, I don't call him a star, but I'm not gonna call him quite a role player. But like Dennis Schroeder, sorry, he's one of those dudes where it's like I don't like inconsistency.
Damn.
Same thing with D'Lo. Like I know Dan Schroeder is gonna play pretty good defense and he's gonna do something on the defensive end that causes disruption. But you also need to be able to go get a bucket. And what we see from a lot of these backup guards in the league, a lot of these backup guards that we've seen in the playoffs, they can still go get a bucket. They can still make an impact. Christian Braun did it. Bruce Brown did it. Jalen Brown was hooping. They didn't play in Pritchard too much, but Derek White was hooping. Like we saw backup guards and Gabe Vincent, like they hooping throughout these playoffs. So it's like I need a dude that can go get me a bucket. So with that being said, why not go get someone like Dante DiVincenzo who just declined his player option? That's a name where it's not a huge splash, but it's a big enough splash. That's the kind of tier that I'm looking at. If you don't go get someone like if you're not able to get Dame or something like that, someone that's a top name, go get someone like a Dante DiVincenzo. You mentioned Gary Trent Jr. I love that. I love that name because I've wanted him on the team a few years back We already mentioned a Josh Hart, Richardson. Like there's a plenty of guys on here that they could get you a bucket or two if you need it while playing very good defense. So I think that should be prioritized in terms of the guard play, because I think the guard play is really where we struggle the absolute most. And in this league, the guards are immensely talented now. So when it comes to guarding these best guards, it's tough when you don't got guard yourself, because they're gonna abuse your forwards. We saw that when we played Golden State. We tried to put Vando on Steph, and it worked for a game or so, but they started to abuse that length that he has and that lack of speed. So I just think we should go for that kind of player at the guard position. It makes it hard because unlike any other team, you have to wonder if the moment or the lights are too big for the player that's coming in. And that's what's been the biggest key to me, because we've had a lot of good, even great players come in that they wear the Laker uniform. They can't really live up to it. But once they
Yeah.
leave, it's like they're a dog. It's just that moment is too big. So that's also a thing that you got to question. And as fortunate as it is, that it's that prevalent when you're a Laker.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I mean, us Lakers fans, we know it best. Like, there's so many players who just come to the Lakers and you're just like, whoa, like you were just balling out last year. You stopped balling this year. And then
They be
now he
hooping
comes
against us.
Lou
Like they're
Williams.
playing
Lou
against
Williams is
us and
number
had
one
a
for me.
career year, bro. Lou Williams, bro.
Man,
I
Lou
don't
Will
like
came to
that
the
man.
Lakers and like sucked, but when
Stunk it up.
every year he would before and after was so nice, man. Yeah, that was a tough one. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I'm right
Mm.
there with you. Yeah, and that's so that's why I here's where we have a bit of a disagreement. I don't know if we should, in my opinion, I don't know if I want to bring in a big time name. Only kind of not only, well, one of the reasons is for that, right? Like we don't know if the lights are going to be a little bit too bright. We know what we got with AR. We know AR can hoop. In my opinion, I said we bring back Lonnie. I know you said no Dennis, and I absolutely agree. He is very inconsistent, but with the options that we have, we either can have a lot of guards and have that 3 guard rotation of Lonnie, AR, and yeah,
And Dennis.
and yeah, Lonnie, AR, and Dennis. And then yeah, we could run that 3 guard rotation, or we could not be able to have all those players and bring in a big time name. But I'm more leaning on the side of let's have all those players, and then now we get to D'Lo, where we can potentially even have a fourth. We could potentially even have a fourth guard into this rotation. But here's what I'm gonna say. Right, here's my like because I like D'Lo. I'm not gonna lie, but I also know
What?
how inefficient, brother. This is a D'Angelo
Bro.
Russell from when he first got drafted to
Bro.
the Lakers. When he first got
Bro.
drafted to the Lakers.
We had a conversation about winners, and of all people that you like, the one that is a he's just a playoff dropper. There's no other way to put it. You want him back?
Listen, I want him back for the simple fact of he's. Let's be honest. He's a good point guard. He's a great point guard at getting people set up. He can get Anthony Davis a lot of easy buckets, a lot off the pick and roll. He may be very inefficient. He may take the most ridiculously dumb shots. It looks like he waits for the defense to come sometimes, then he takes a shot. I'm not gonna lie, it's really annoying. But what I do think is that if we can get him for the right price, that was my caveat. I was gonna say D'Lo. It thinks I'm pretty sure
He
he's
thinks
extension
he's a
eligible.
$30 million man. That's what he thinks he is.
I'm
He's
gonna
a
be
fucking
honest.
idiot. That's who he is. That's who he is. My thing is, and I like everything you said up until bring back D'Lo. I'm fine with the 3 guard rotation of Schroeder, AR, and Lonnie. Now, when you do that, you could bring in one of these guys that are on the point guards list and on the free agent point guard list. And obviously, some of these names, like they're gonna stick with their team and who they're with. But like you have Gabe Vincent, Javon Carter, those are unrestricted free agents. You don't have to you don't have to worry about their teams matching. Like those are some guys that I think would fit much better than D'Lo. You have I mentioned earlier. I don't think we'd be able to get Fred VanVleet cheaper than we would get D'Lo, but that's also a guy that I think I would trust over D'Lo only because he's shown to be a playoff riser, and in the biggest moments, he's a hooper. And I think that's the biggest portion to it, because when it comes down to that late game situation, Dennis Schroeder, sometimes I'm not sure if it works for him if, AD and LeBron aren't going in the clutch time. Whereas I know if you put Father Fred and you put AR in the backcourt for the last clutch time, clutch minutes, whatever, or you put Lonnie Walker with Father Fred, whomever you decide, other than Dennis Schroeder, for those clutch time minutes, they're gonna perform. They're gonna show up. And D'Lo, nah, Playboy, nah.
Oh
And
man.
it makes it even worse. It makes it worse for D'Lo because I was on his train when they were saying go get Kyrie, trade D'Lo, whatever. When they were saying sign and trade, I was saying no. D'Lo is going to do better for us for what we need. Kyrie is a bucket, yes, but what we need is the ball to be funneled to AD. D'Lo does that best out of anybody on our team. Dennis Schroeder can't make an entry pass to save his life. AR, he's good here and there, but for the most part, and I like AR because if he can't make an entry pass, he'll try to find a way to get the ball to somebody else that can make it. But I was on D'Lo's side, and yeah, bro,
Look,
you
Trill, I'm not
fucked
gonna
that
lie.
up.
I'm not gonna lie, because of what you talked about of his fit on our team. That's why I'm still on this side, and because I got his jersey from his rookie year. But look,
The
bro,
best thing about D'Lo, he has an aesthetically pleasing game, and that's about it. That's
all
about
left-handers do though.
Yeah, but then when it got to the playoffs, the shit was ugly, bro.
Yeah.
Like, bro,
Nah, I
no.
look, man, look for the right price, and for me, the right price is like 2 years, like 15 million. But he's not gonna take that. He's not gonna take that though. But that's the right price. If we could get him to just be a point guard, give AD easy buckets for 2 years, 15 million, we good.
Buddy, 7.5 a year is crazy. Well, that's not
It's
crazy to me. I agree with you. But to him, he gonna
to
be
him,
like,
yeah. Man, yeah, D'Lo. So D'Lo's realistically probably gone, but if we could get him for the right price, that'd be great. But what I have to ask you, so T, this is a huge topic, and there's almost every topic with Lakers is huge, but out of the whole show, I'm not gonna lie, like this is what I really want to get your opinion on. You talked about Anthony Davis. You said, I don't know. So, T, Anthony Davis is extension eligible. 3 years, 168 million this offseason. Do you extend him?
so let's we gotta unwind it. We gotta unpack it. I can't just dive into an answer, you feel me? Like, cause that's and as unfortunate as it is, if this was an Anthony Davis who plays 60 games year in and year out, no brainer. You're in the midst of your prime. I don't even know if he turned 30 yet. If he did, he's a new 30-year-old. It's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Shit, some people that are just turning 29, 30, they'd be getting the 5-year supermax again right now. Some players, not all, but he's been hurt, so of course he didn't get all NBA to get the supermax and stuff. But with that being said, that portion of it would make it a no-brainer. Now, it hurts me because I'm one of those people who do buy into the is it a contract year kind of idea. When I say that, he was hooping a lot this year, and he showed a lot of flashes this year. He showed a lot of health this year. He's shown us a lot of good things that made me at the end of that Denver series. I wasn't mad at AD or LeBron. I wasn't like in most cases I would have been. In most cases I would have felt it was his fault, and I felt like AD played pretty well. He was just going up against a dog in Joker in Jokic. That Jokic pummeled through AD, who is the best defending big in the West, and he pummeled through Bam, who is the best defending big in the East. Jokic, who he is. So I'm not mad at AD for that series. And not for nothing, the first two series prior, though he had on game, off game, on game, off game, he found a way to make his presence known regardless of if his score total was high or not. Great on the defensive end throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Now, when I get to the crux of it, other than this season, he's played 40 games and 30 games. And then the first season that he played with the Lakers, he played 60 games, which the first season was the year we won the chip. My issue with AD is his health isn't predicated on predictable events. His health is predicated on these random one-off things that happen that make you scratch your head and wonder how he's hurt, why he's out for as long as he is, what's going on. So, with that being said, I feel like if you do give him this contract, what you're basically doing is betting. You're just betting, really. I can't say betting against yourself. You're not betting against AD. You're not doing either. You're just you're gambling. That's the best way to put it. The question is, and I'm not in the Lakers locker room. I'm not in their medical room. So it's harder for me to say this. Do you trust AD going forward? Do you trust his eating habits? Do you trust his workout habits? Do you trust everything he's doing to solidify his body to stay healthy going forward? And if you can come out of that, whatever thought process it is, and say you trust him, you give him that deal. And I'm not mad at that deal because you trust him and his health going forward. Like I said, a lot of his injuries are one-off instances where it's freak injuries and it's not things you can always control. Like we always hear the jokes about AD being hurt, but if you look at a lot of his injuries, it's a lot of someone's foot is under him when he lands. It's a hustle play and he lands wrong. It's a lot of just random things that you don't really expect that didn't really occur this year, which is why you saw him relatively healthy. So with that being said, if they do sign him, I'm not mad at it at all because I will say this, regardless if you sign him or not, I feel like Anthony Davis is the kind of piece that you'll be able to move regardless of his health issues and get something back in return. Say you do see something wrong with the contract. You said 3 years. Say we get to year 2 and we're not liking what we're seeing. We don't like how the team is playing, gelling, chemistry, whatever. I think that'll be an opportunity to come off of AD and get some things in return, and I'm not mad at that. So I think you sign him. That's I know it was a long way to get to that, but I think you sign him. Anthony Davis he's a top defending big in the league, and you don't just get that any and every day walking into the league. So you hold on to that and keep that.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, T. I thought you was going to hit me with at the end, like we don't sign him, and that's how. So, I'm not gonna lie, I can't be mad at it, but I was gonna be shook at it. I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna be really shook because, like how you said, like with a player like Anthony Davis, like those once in a generational like talents. What, in my opinion, I'm in the impression of like you just get those guys and then figure it out how you're gonna figure it out later. Like you just
Mm-hmm.
get them on my team. Come on, come with me. We'll figure it out later. We'll figure out who's gonna get paid, how's this gonna happen, and whatnot. But I guess to answer this question, the question is, do we extend him this offseason? I'm on the same side with you. I'm on the side of yes. And now here's my, I guess, my reasoning and my thought when it comes into it. He is a huge injury risk, like huge injury risk. And what's crazy is I was listening to your point, and I know you were saying like if you trust him, then go ahead and give him that extension. But if not, then maybe think twice about it. The crazy thing is I don't trust him with injury, and I don't trust his health going forward. But yet I'd still want him to give him, still would want to give him the extension on the fact of like the 5 market is very slim. The 5-4
Yeah.
market is very slim. So unless you're gonna get Jokic or Embiid back, which we're not gonna get, you're most likely gonna downgrade, right? You're most likely gonna
Yeah.
downgrade. And if we downgrade right now at this point, LeBron James is going to leave the next day. If we downgrade on a Tuesday, LeBron James will be on another team by Wednesday. He's 38.
Mm-hmm.
He has no time to downgrade. Like this team, this Lakers team is being built. Yes, LeBron is very important, but in my opinion, this team is built around Anthony Davis. If
Yeah,
we go,
for
if
sure.
Anthony Davis goes, we go. If Anthony Davis
And
doesn't go,
that's been what's so irritating about it because we know that it's almost like he didn't know that.
man, exactly, right? So he's our engine. He makes us go. So in my opinion, if you don't extend him with LeBron James at 38, like LeBron is out of here. He's like, I'm done. I'm
Right.
what we're not winning anything. We're not even making the play-in.
Man, go get Cat.
Man, go do something, man. Go get Cat for real. That I would be very upset if I seen Anthony Davis walk and now every day I gotta watch Cat play in a Lakers jersey.
Bro.
I'd be very
Bro.
upset. Sorry, Jelson. Sorry, bro. But yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Nah, never mind.
nah.
Because I'm only thinking about Cat when he plays us, and when he plays us, it's like he feels like he has a point to prove. I don't
That's a
know.
lot of players in the league, though. A lot of players in the league just get off on the Lakers.
Yeah, man.
That's
I'm
tough.
used to it as a Cowboys fan.
Oh man. All right. Well then look. So yeah. So I get. So I'm happy we're both on the agreement. We both give Anthony Davis the extension. And I really do like that plan that you mentioned. If it doesn't, if it's clearly not working this next year, then you just you look to move off him. But again, my only thing is if
Mhm.
you move off him, like you just got to rebuild right
You
there
got
and
to
then.
figure out what you're getting. Like, if you don't get, you got to get at least the amount of picks you got for him.
Yeah.
Like, because
God
like
damn.
there's no real big in the league that you can genuinely like. You can say I named Cat like jokingly, but
Mhm.
like after Embiid and Jokic, Cat is the next one, and after that, I don't know who else I could ever justify going to with AD. Like,
Yeah.
and even still, Cat is one of those where if we do trade, like we get Cat, you're still gonna give us some more on top of giving us Cat. Like, and that's how I feel. But
Man,
yeah,
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that five market is slim. So might as well hold on to AD while we got him, and just pray to God and hope that God can keep him good and won't let him get hurt. But before we get off free agents and extensions, extension eligibility, what I want to ask you is about any other free agents that you feel like we should bring back. We still have Troy Brown Jr., still have Malik
mhm.
Beasley and Tristan Thompson, and then Mo Mamba, I believe he's extension
I don't know
eligible.
why you even named Tristan. I
Hey man,
don't.
Kendrick Perkins said bring him back. He brought some good minutes in the playoffs.
I just fuck no. Um, but honestly, I like some Troy Brown minutes, but I don't think he's the kind of guy that we're looking to win. I don't think he's that guy. I think instead you look a little bit, dip your toe into a free agency pool a little bit more, looking to getting Naj Reed,
It's nice.
looking to getting, like I said, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo. Um, I understand they say Bruce Brown's staying and they running it back, but if you have an opportunity, if you can offer him more, if he just opens his ear just to listen, you got to try it. Like there's a couple players out there. I do think we should bring back Scottie Pippen Jr. I
Great
I
point guard.
want to see him develop. I'm not sure if Max Christie is a restricted free agent quite yet, but if he is, him as well, because he is a pretty good shooter. He developed pretty well. I liked what I saw out of him ending the year. But for the most part, I genuinely feel like we're gonna have to dip our toe in the free agency market a lot more than we usually see the Lakers do. But I think even though there aren't any splash names per se, I think there are some pretty good support pieces in there that can help you win, some games, especially with, LeBron being, the centerpiece in terms of playmakers on the team. Because when we look at the free agency pool, a lot of us say it's trash, but it's trash because there's not many bucket getters. It's a lot of catch and shoot guys on the list. So, look into that. Christian Wood, they just said he's not coming back to Dallas. Explore your options. That's really all I think the Lakers should do, because there are some guys out there that you can hone in on and that could help this team.
Got it. So as far as the free agency, the only thing we should bring back Scottie Pippen Jr., Austin Reeves, Rui, and Lonnie Walker,
I
or not even
think
Lonnie.
if that no, I want Lonnie back for
You want Lonnie?
sure.
Okay,
I
yeah,
want
and then
Lonnie
yeah,
back
that's
for
it.
sure.
And then do you
Um,
want, because you say you don't want Dennis, right? Because Dennis is also on there.
if you could bring Dennis back for a little bit cheaper, because I think he was being paid like what? Well, he wasn't being paid too much because we picked him up on a minimum. So if you could bring him back, I would bring him back because he was only getting paid like 1 or 2 million or something like that. But off the top of my head, Rui, Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, Dennis Schroeder, Scottie Pippen, if Max Christie is one, so that's six right there. And then our line, no, Max Christie isn't one, so that's five. So I want to say our roster that would put us at like 12, 11. If you don't bring back Malik Beasley and you don't bring back Mo Bamba, I think that puts us back to like 10, 11 ish. Um, so I think you dip into the free agency a little more. We signed Shaquille Harrison to a 2-year rest of the season contract. I don't know what that means for this next season, but don't bring him back. I don't.
Don't waste any money on bro.
What's the fucking point, bro? Like
I'm with
that.
you.
That was one of those signings. I was like, bro, don't piss me off. Why is this notification coming to my phone?
You just look at it like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, all right, bro. I think I was actually editing that day, so I put my phone like to the side of me. I look and I was like, all right, bro, let's
Anyway.
lock in.
Anyway, all right.
For
Man, nah, I
sure.
feel you. I'm right there with you. But all right, brother. So look, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about, on roster, we talked about last season, some of the moves we should do coming into the offseason. But like I told you in the beginning, I need to get your opinion on Darvin Ham before I get you out of here. So go ahead, either open up your rant or open up your flower givings. I don't know how you feel.
I've been I've been on the fence with Darvin. And it's because on one end of the fence, it's like he's been giving a tough situation to come into. The debut of his real regular season was 2-10. We ended up making it with the 7th seed in the West. We always gonna say that because that was crazy. We went up 3-1 on the 2 seed Grizzlies. Like there are some things that you like to see because once you get to the playoffs, I think coaching matters a lot. And in the beginning, it was questionable about his rotations because it was like, 4 guard lineups with AD out there. You're trying to kill AD. But at the same time, that was in large part due to a bad roster construction. So then when we get a good roster, I'm not gonna lie, there were still moments where it's like, what is this lineup? He did still have some short 4 guard lineups with AD at the 5. Granted, it worked a little bit better because we had better guards at that point. We didn't have Pat Bev anymore. We brought in D'Lo, we brought in Vando, so it was better lineups when he put them out, but they were still not the best, especially in the playoffs. Um, Despite some, because timeouts are huge to me, especially when it comes to stopping momentum, gaining momentum, doing what you need to do. He had some curious decisions with regard to timeout or the lack thereof with regard to the prowess of calling timeouts. I remember in one of the Grizzlies game, I don't know if it was game 1 or 2, he carried 5 timeouts into the second half with him. Like the first
That's
half,
absurd.
and I want to say it was game 2 because we won game 1 pretty handedly, and he didn't really need to, and I wouldn't be worried about that. So I want to say it was game 2. It was when we surrendered that 15-point lead, and at the half
That's
it
game
was
two.
only 2. Okay, so it was game 2. That was questionable for me. We didn't carry 5 timeouts when you were up 15, and now going into half we're only up 2.
Is crazy.
That's that wild.
That's crazy.
Wild.
Basketball is a game of runs. Timeouts is how you
And
stop runs.
you just watching them have a run all like up until halftime. So it's like
That's crazy.
wild. But I'll put it to you this way, and this might be a surprise. But I give Darvin Ham and his staff a lot of kudos. The team came into the season despite the slow start with incredible energy. A lot of the games, we were in those games. A lot of those games I feel like could have gone our way if it were for 1 or 2 plays, sometimes 1 or 2 calls. With Winyan Gabriel, Troy Brown, Austin Reeves, Max Crispy, like those are some young players that you got to figure out what to do with in the league. Obviously, Austin Reeves has come a long way, but he came up with some good game plans. And even when Russ was there, Russ had some pretty good games. And I think that had to do with some of Darvin's game plans. Let's not forget, Darvin made the decision to bench Russ despite how Russ felt. And once he benched Russ, it was for the betterment of our team. Like Russ had some pretty good minutes off the bench here and there. And he was still doing a hell of a job. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those nitpicking kind of fans. I nitpicked on the rotation, nitpicked on some timeout mistakes. I nitpicked on some little things that you should see out of a veteran championship winning coach, which might be unfair to Darvin because this is his first time on a head coaching job and on the Lakers above anybody else.
Man.
So above all else, I have to say, with as hard as it is being a Lakers coach, being on the forefront, and all the things that he's had to deal with and overcome to get us to the Western Conference Finals, Darvin Ham has done a hell of a job. He's done pretty well. It with with what he was given in the beginning to where he made it in the end thus far. Come on now, he's done this thing because though you got those players during the trade deadline, you still got to get them to where you need to get them. And he got them to the Western Conference Finals. Granted, we didn't get a win there, and that's one of the major blemishes that I have with regards to his coaching record because as a coach, we should have got at least one or two. And I do think that came down to coaching more than anything else because though they were some good games against Denver. That's the most major blemish. But the fact that he got us there was very big to me in terms of my outlook on Darvin Ham. Because if we made the playoffs, I wouldn't even say hot seat, get him the fuck out of here. And if we lost early in the playoffs, he would have been on a very, very, very hot seat right now. But to beat the teams that he beat, the Memphis Grizzlies, who were in large part a top two, top three team in the West, the defending champion Warriors, and then you make it to the Western Conference Finals, I got to give you your flowers.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I'll be real, brother. I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those guys. I was hard on Darvin Ham, like hard, like all
Mhm.
season. I was on him, but I'm also a Lakers fan, right? Like I was talking to one of my homies the other day. It's like feel like when you're your team's fan, you're gonna be your team's hardest critic because you're watching
Mhm.
this much and you don't you know what you can expect. You're like,
We
why
see
would
every little good thing and
yeah.
every little small thing, whereas with other teams, you see the major good and the major bad. You don't see the small intricacies along the way.
Exactly, exactly right. So I'm not gonna lie, like all throughout the season, I was like, man, like I was just ripping Darvin Ham. I was not the type,
Mhm.
I was not the the advocate for him. But I agree, he wasn't a tough situation. But like let's talk. What I really want to talk about is like some of those terrible lineups because that's what threw me off. Like, dog, there was like a 1 month stretch where this is before the trade too. There was a 1 month stretch where Lonnie Walker is getting DNPs. I did not understand why Patrick Beverly was out there starting games, but Lonnie Walker was getting DNPs. Like that was where I had my shoot. I was like, yo, there's no way this guy's seriously doing this right now. Like really, and then you talk about the lack of timeouts. You talk about getting swept. Oh man, T, I'm so happy you brought up that point. In the playoffs, like Eric Spoelstra proved it. The Miami Heat are a way worse team than the Denver Nuggets. Like man, I don't think they will ever be as good as a team as that Denver Nuggets team was this last season. Yet Eric Spoelstra was still able to make it a chess match and win a game. There was times. Okay, I'll be real with you, T. Tristan Thompson was getting no playing time. Started getting
Bro,
playing time in the NBA Finals.
what got me? It got me. You didn't even at least try to play Mo Bamba, bro. That's what got me. That's the part that like I understand because my thing was I even told my girl, bro. She was like Tristan Thompson's still in the league. I was like, we just need a veteran. He's not gonna play. Da, da, da. We're watching the game. Is that Tristan? What the, like, bro? Like, and it killed me because it was like I understand Mo not being there or whatever, and he might see things in practice that we don't see. Fine, cool, but at least play him a little bit.
Man,
Especially we down 3-0.
just try anything. Try, just try. Should
You
try
better try.
something.
You better throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. But
Man. And then another thing I want to bring up before we get off of Darvin is I feel like, yes, he took Rush, brought Rush to the bench, but that took like almost 2 months. I feel like that should have been the first. As a coach, like I know egos are a big thing and whatnot, but as a coach, I feel like you got to come, you can't be scared, like, oh, I don't want to step on this guy's toes. Like you got to come lay the law down. Like, look, dog, like you not him. You don't fit our starting lineup right now.
I feel that. But at the same time, like I could be wrong. This is just me going off of what I remember watching. But I feel like before he just straight up benched him, he started to do some more minute things. Like he started to match Austin Reeves' minutes with his, or he started to Matt Schroeder's minutes with his, even though he's coming off the bench, they still played like the same amount of minutes. Or I remember he didn't play him. I think it was like a 5-game stretch. I remember they saying like Russ didn't play in the last 5 minutes of the game. So like I feel like he took steps to get to that point, which is why it took so long. But I do agree it took too long. Like that's the overall point. It took too long because we all knew we knew what time it was. And I don't
Yeah.
care that Russ was the highest paid on the team. The fit just wasn't there, and it was best for him to come off the bench. And we saw that because three dudes on our team. Well, not Rui quite yet, because Rui came after the fact. But when we had Thomas Bryant and Troy Brown, they were Wizards when Russ was a Wizard, and Russ had a career year with the Wizards. And when he came off the bench, they were part of the reason he looked pretty good coming off of the bench, because Thomas Bryant was on a nice little tear for a little while before AD came back from injury. And that was a credit to Russ. But yeah, Darvin Ham, I think we had to bully him to get to the point where he
Yeah.
stopped playing all these guards, because
Gotta wake
I
up.
hope I don't see 4 guard lineups this coming year. If I do, I'm going to be sick, bro.
Yeah, Trill, we can make a drive down to LA to Rob's office and go talk to him real quick.
Gonna have
That's
to,
the case.
because I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm mad that they extended Palinka this last year. When I got that notification on my phone, I was like, bro, and it was before the trade deadline, so it was really like, what are we doing? Do we really want to lose, bro?
Yeah, Rob Pelinka, I'm not gonna lie. Me and my brother, we have a joke that like he pulls off like one move and then won't do anything for like the next like 2-3 years.
Bro,
That's Rob for you.
damn, I didn't even think about it that way. That's true. He one big move and then he's like, I'm good.
I'm
Y'all
good.
got it.
That's Rob for you, man. But yeah, but I mean, overall on Darvin, me personally, even though it's as hard as I am on him, I do think that we should probably give him the man another chance. It was his first year in LA. Let's give him another chance. But like you said, we better not see 4 guard lineups this next year with AD at the 5. But T, look, let me ask you last question right here. This is right here how we gonna wrap up. Put a nice little bow on the episode. We talked about coaching, roster, off
Mhm.
season, all that. But what I want to know is, T, give me a word or a phrase to describe about how you feeling or how you felt about this last season. So a word or a phrase to describe about this last season, and then a word or a phrase for this next upcoming season. How you feeling coming into it?
Well, I'll say this next coming season. It's hard for me to say for the next coming season, only because we haven't gone through free agency yet. But
Okay, that's fair.
I will say, and I always am this, because as a Lakers fan, you have to be optimism. And it might be a cliche word, and it might be a word used for a lot of people, but I think that's, one of the biggest words and brightest words we could say, considering our outlook just a year ago in this spot. We didn't have who we have on the roster now. So we were coming into the season with a lot of question marks, a lot of what does this team need? Because I vividly remember doing the offseason plan, and I was like, I don't even know what direction this team needs to go. Whereas now we actually have a stable ground foundation to where we're able to make some things shake. You feel me? Now, in terms of this past season, I think the best way for me to put it is I I guess undisturbed. Undisturbed in a sense that this team did some great things. This team did some bad things, but it wasn't like our last 2 years to where it was a complete roller coaster to where we're completely like this the whole time. We were pretty steady in the middle, and then you get to the trade deadline, and we start to just gradually do that. Um, but the ending to the year was very bitter as well. So though we ended on a high note, it's like you got to your peak and just immediately dropped. So I that's the best word I got, unbothered. It's time to work.
It's
That's
time
the
to work.
that's the best way to
Ooh,
put it.
I like that. I like that.
So
All right, man. Well, for the family out there, man, there you have it. This is our full Lakers off-season plans, man. We talked about last season, talked about this season, Darvin Ham, everything. So
mhm.
hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And for the family out there, man, make sure you check out all of Trill's work. Again, everything will be linked in the description down below. Get at my guy, avid Lakers fan, so you gotta love it. But T, I'm gonna give you the floor. Do you have anything to say before we wrap this up here?
Hey man, same man. Just go sub to the channel. I ain't really got too much for y'all. I know y'all Lakers fans just like I am, so I'm gonna tell you this now. Go peep my older unpopular opinion Lakers videos so that you can see how I was really reacting early in the season. And if you want that series to come back, I'll bring it back for my true Lakers fans.
Check
That's all
that
I
out,
got
man.
for you.
Check that out, man. Check that out. Again, everything will be linked in the description down below. For the family, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that's it. We out of here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.